name is Chris Ruden. I'm a professional keynote speaker, author, adaptive model, and professional bodybuilder and powerlifter. I was born with a physical disability. I was born with two fingers on my left hand and a shorter left arm. And my entire life, I thought I was a monster. I thought I was broken. I thought I was all of the synonyms for disability, like weak or broken or useless or helpless. And I lived my entire life thinking I wasn't enough. I went down the route of drinking, drugs, bad people. I grew up in a lower socioeconomic area and got into a lot of trouble. And it took a long time to get out of that lifestyle and out of that group of people and out of that decision to be more self-destructive because I couldn't handle the thoughts that were going through my head. And I was hiding with substances. I was hiding with numbing myself out and disassociating. I was hiding from who I thought I was, which stopped me from ever becoming who I could be based on the story I told myself. And for 17 years, I hid my disability up until a few years ago. There was no real aha moments. There was the resilience to keep going forward, thinking there has to be more to life than this. But also finding passion or purpose in something carried me. In the beginning, I found passion in being competitive with myself. I wanted to prove to other people that I was good enough. So even with two fingers, I learned how to play drums. I ended up putting a drumstick through the finger hole of a glove and played drums for 4 years. And I constantly felt the need to prove to people that I could because of my disability. I'm diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 19 years old, and I started lifting weights. And that's when I started becoming a professional power lifter, is just kept lifting weights, kept finding ways to overcome this adversity and to prove to other people that I was good enough. And it wasn't until I really started to think about it, I had nothing to prove to anyone else and everything to prove to myself. I was never proving anything to anyone else because, to be honest, no one really cared. No one cared because they had their own struggles. They weren't looking at me, and I was looking at me, and I was competing with myself. So when I gave myself permission to just be and not have to prove that I'm good enough and just be good enough, life definitely got a lot easier. I can say that. I learned that the story we tell ourselves will define our quality of life. Not exactly what we go through, but the story we tell ourselves about what we go through. Because taking my story, for example, you see a disability and you can tell yourself, wow, this is really terrible. I'm so sad that you have a disability. It sucks that you went all through the struggle. You're not complete, you're not whole. You can tell yourself this story, or I can say, wow, that's so crazy that you were able to overcome that and you found different ways to adapt and overcome, and now you're in People magazine, you did a TV show with The Rock. The story is the same, it's the way you tell it is what's different. Because when I talk to people, everyone listening or watching this has the exact same story as me. You went through some stuff, you got over some stuff, and there's some more stuff coming. We all have the same conceptual story. A universal theme is struggle. That's just what it is. It's how are you going to tell yourself the story about your life? And are you telling it in a way that makes you the victim or the victor? Are you telling it in a way that positions you to succeed or fail? And the way you tell it is usually the way you live it. The biggest piece of advice that I wish I could give my former self: one, don't invalidate the feelings. You don't have to tell yourself those feelings are fake. You don't tell yourself, I shouldn't be feeling this. That's so invalidating to say you should be doing something or you shouldn't be doing something. Allow yourself to understand why you feel that way. If I felt like I wasn't enough, question that. Why do I feel like I'm not enough? Well, because I'm different. Well, isn't everyone different? We tend to tell ourselves stories because we don't ask enough questions as to why we're upset, why we're mad, why we're frustrated, why we're struggling. If you lost your job, the only thing that happened was you lost your job. But if we choose to catastrophize through story, I lost my job, I'm probably not good enough, I'll never get another job again, I'm probably going to lose my house, I'm going to live under a bridge. We're building this story, catastrophizing on something, one, that hasn't even happened, and two, we took what happened and we decided to over season it. We decided to tell ourselves this extra amount. So when we talk about advice, my biggest advice is to not make the problem worse. If you got a flat tire, don't set the car on fire.